Do you get the sense that people like this? And people's obviously a very difficult term, but do you feel a sense of enthusiasm from non-West Coast people, from Midwest people, Southern people, from writers? Like, a lot of people are very happy to explain why this is happening, that the money is too good, that, the opportunities are too vast for, TV networks and, athletic directors and presidents. But do you get a sense of enthusiasm from fans, from, sort of the people invested in the sport on an emotional level?
No, I don't think anybody's really excited about it. And I asked my brothers, who both went to USC after the news broke. And, of course, like everybody, they were stunned. USC has been in this is a conference where the original members have been around for so long you can't it's like more than 100 years, right? And the next day I talked to one of my brothers, and he said, well, we didn't have a choice. He said, when you look at where the money's going, he says literally their hands were forced. And I think that's how a lot of people feel. It's a game of musical chairs. Everyone's afraid that when the music stops, they're not going to have a place to sit. That's a very different motivation than, heck yes, we're so excited that this has finally happened. I think a lot of people feel like this is killing what they love about the sport. But at the same time, we all want to hold on to some of what we love. And we feel like if you don't end up in a conference that's going to have enough money to make you competitive, that all of a sudden, you're going to care even less about your team because nobody else cares about your team. I think people just feel it's almost like a pressure to stay alive rather than this real excitement of better competition, more money, a better chance at a national championship. Because how many people went to schools or root for schools that have a decent chance at being part of the national championship discussion anyway? It's one of the things I love about college football is that there's so many teams, that we have so many different kind of weird offenses that people try. And so, there's so much fun in the sport that you don't get in a more homogenized league that has less teams and more standardization. And I feel like, once again, that's something the networks don't understand either, that the diversity. I love that Air Force runs their version of the option, right?
Sure.
When I was a kid, the University of Oregon, when I was looking at it from Southern California, ran what we thought was like a gimmicky offense. It was a pro-style offense, but that was gimmicky at the time. But you love that because there's a diversity in the sport that just makes it fun to watch if you're into the X's and O's, like a lot of us are. I feel like all of that's going by the wayside. And at a certain point, it's going to get to the place where I just want those big schools to leave and just say, you know what, you guys have a very different priority than the rest of us. How about you create the Super League and then let the rest of us have a really good time playing Oregon State, having some ACC schools and traditional rivals. Where's a school like Boston College or any of these schools in the Northeast fit in any of this, right? I just feel, and especially when these networks are so concerned with TV markets. New York City, that's not a college football.
No.
I just feel like this is all, it's very similar to what's happened with the stock market, where once upon a time you used to buy a really good blue chip stock and sit on it for years, and that was the way you went. Now it's just we churn it at the next quarter. And everything is very short-term oriented because that's what you're incentivized to do. You're not going to say to somebody who's in a position right now at one of the big schools and just say, listen, what we really care about is the health of this whole thing 15, 20, 25 years from now. That person's not incentivized to think like that. Their job is to make sure that while they're in that job, they do well. This brings us to, maybe we could talk about, although I don't want to slam any individuals personally, but it is a wonderful object lesson about how important management at the top is. Look at what happened to the Pac-12 before and after a guy like Larry Scott.
Yep.
Right? Literally, he took over a conference that was doing great and left it on death's door. Now, look, he's not the only person responsible. There were people that let him stay in his job, right? He walked away with a lot of money, but he destroyed the conference, destroyed a more than 100-year-old conference, and got away with it with the support of a bunch of athletic directors, most of whom are not even there anymore. That's a wonderful lesson right there, that who you have calling the shots can make or break you.